Hi, I'm Marty, and I'm going to talk about my topic, which is how technology has never benefited the environment and how Christians should react. I know this is kind of a strange topic to present on, considering that we're in a technology and society class, but I thought it might be an interesting challenge. So, technology is everywhere. It has enveloped every single part of our lives. For most people, certainly in the Western world. The Industrial Revolution marked a point at which people became dependent upon new inventions for easier, more convenient lives. People began to rely on machinery instead of hand working, but this convenience comes at a price. Modern culture kind of worships these technological saviors, relies on them to make the world a better place. Elon Musk and Bill Gates comes up in a lot of conversation about the environment and what they're doing to protect it and to make changes. But humanity needs to stop looking towards technology for answers for climate change and sea level rise, greenhouse gas, species extinction, and all of these environmental issues. Because what's needed instead is a cultural change, essentially. So, for my thesis statement is like the development and the discovery of technology is harmful to the environment and life on Earth. Not because technology is harmful by itself, but rather people lack the long term mindset and sense of responsibility for the repercussions that technology creates. Um, so, in the Industrial Revolution, that was kind of like I said, a turning point. People began to notice a definite change in their natural environment. This is when pollution became prominent, essentially. Short term solutions were deemed acceptable for all of the waste that this new technology created, and all of the energy it required to take, because Mother Nature seemed too large to be damaged by humans. It just, at that point, it seemed too big. And the common mantra was the solution to pollution is dilution. That would certainly not fly in today's world. And such short-term solutions were like taller smokestacks to distribute the pollution higher, or simply dumping waste into the sea. People really had a failure to notice the long-term repercussions of technology. That can be seen in today. We really need to start looking at a long-term solution, even if it's not immediately beneficial. So environmentally friendly technology doesn't exist. Technology always requires a huge amount of energy to make. Solar energy, for example, is considered one of the cleanest energy sources available. It is certainly much preferable to coal and natural gas burning, but it can't be relied upon for a long-term solution. Much of which it requires the rare element of cadmium, which makes it very difficult to responsibly dispose of because it is highly toxic, and it's not very easily recyclable at all. And cadmium is a very limited resource. So, despite solar panels using an unlimited resource such as sun, it requires a limited resource to make, making it in that term not environmentally friendly. Um, there's also a Nevada power plant that uses around 850 US gallons of megawatt per hour to produce electricity, which is the highest amount of any electrical power plant, and it is solar, completely solar based. It's also most common in arid environments where lots of sun is available and water is already a scarce resource. So hydroelectricity also greatly interferes with ecosystems. It can completely like wipe out fish populations because they are not able to get upstream to reproduce. So while these alternative energy sources are reducing overall emissions as opposed to coal and natural gas, people just need to demand less energy overall, which requires a change in culture. Um, like I said, people must demand a cultural shift to improve our climate. Simply scrambling to develop new technology that makes more energy off of less resources is not going to be the answer, certainly not for now. Um, We need to pursue a culture of less demand and more supply. We have this terrible consumerist culture where we need more and more and more. Um, and that's just not going to fly in the future. There's a reason why the US by itself takes up like 5 times the amount of resources than the earth has to offer. So if everybody lived like an American, we would need 5 earths to supply it because we have that consumerist culture. And technology is certainly helpful on the path to correct the climate, but people need to be willing to share these resources currently available and live out a more minimalist lifestyle. Because the people who are feeling these climate change effects the most are not the wealthy and the rich. It's the poor people. Which leads me to our Christian response. Uh, Dordt is a Christian university, and so we have to acknowledge how us Christians should respond to climate change and all of these environmental effects. So there's this quote where early in the creation, the Lord God took man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Christians are mandated as stewards of God's creation. We have a very unique relationship with the environment that secular people may not have, where we have this attachment. It's God's creation. He gave it for us, and we are mandated to protect it. For we don't own the land, we're merely tenants. So we have to break away from this political conversation of climate change and look to actual scientific evidence, because I swear I hear so many Republicans denying that climate change is happening, despite people really being hurt from climate change. And it's not a political issue. It's a people issue. Many catastrophic environmental events occur in the biblical narrative. You know, Noah's flood, really intense droughts, a lack of food, and really intense plagues as kind of warning signs of a growing sin in humanity. You know, Noah's flood's purpose was to wipe out humanity and start over because it was getting so bad. We need to start taking this as a warning sign as well. Christians must come together and set an example for the rest of the world as environmentalists, because it is God's creation and we have to take care of that. So let's unite together. The world is kind of doomed if we just turn a blind eye and keep acting as we normally do. As Christians, especially as engineers and computer scientists, we have a strong ability to change the world for the better. Just stop looking at short-term benefits and look to what you're passing down to your children. Because through this, we will create unsustainable energy sources and all of this. We just need to simply change our consumers' lifestyle to demand less resources, as technology can't create change by itself, but human choice can, and that's what we're held for responsibly today. Here's the works cited. And I hope I convinced you to look at environmental majors a little differently and see that recycling and even the small choices are really important in the long term. So, thank you.